I'm back. I'm glad to be back. And good morning. Welcome to Detroit in Black and White. We're not at McShane's today. It's cold as hell. Allan Lengel, well, he's enjoying himself for the last
connected to my
3 or
lazy
4
boy.
weeks. Me. Good morning, Allan.
Good morning. Good morning.
Vanessa Moss, attorney Vanessa Moss. How you doing, Vanessa?
Doing well. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to all those that are watching Detroit Black and White. I see Dwayla Boyce gave us a shout out, so we're gonna give her a shout out. But if you're watching, we want you to like, subscribe, and share. Like, subscribe, and share. You can catch us on all social media platforms. And give it back to you.
Yeah, take it away, Jim Nardone. How you doing?
Good morning. Starting the morning off differently with a cup of warm Vernors to try and get rid of this cold. So
Wow.
we old timers and
That's old school.
yeah.
I saw the Trenton police chief the other day. He was down in Courtown. He was at our favorite location, McShane's. And he was meeting with someone from the Brownstown Township Police Department. I guess, cops stick together.
Well, I think it was a gathering. We talked last night about the FBI National Academy, and there's usually 5, 6, 7 guys go through each class. And that's what I briefly spoke with them through text, but I think that's what they were doing. They had a little get together. So
okay.
I guess they spent some time and money down there. So that's a good thing.
Well, we got to get him back on to talk about that cold case that we have been following of the Detroit woman that was never reported missing for how many years, Jim?
I think it was like 9 years.
9 years. Family never reported her missing, and y'all found her remains and floated down the Detroit River. Am I correct?
Yes, you're absolutely right. Very sad case.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll do that in the future. Vanessa, I'll go to you first. Outrage of the week.
Oh, my outrage of the week. I read this story in the paper about a woman who has not received her the Social Security Administration got a whole lot of drama going on. She hadn't, and there are other people who have not received their money. They're supposed to get it on this card, this Direct Express card. And there's some snafu with the Direct Express card. The Direct Express card is for those people who do not have bank accounts. We've talked about this before on the show. There are people that are unbanked, okay? And in addressing this, the Social Security Administration said, okay, we'll put some money on this card, right? Well, there are some issues with the card, and it's been months since this person she and other people have received money, their money, $943 a month. For some people, that is a heck of a lot of money. So she hasn't been able to wash. She hasn't been able to, do her regular maintenance. She hasn't been able to do anything, and it's been months. So shame on them. Shame on SSA. We know that we live in a country where people do not have bank accounts. And particularly here in the city of Detroit, there are a lot of people that are unbanked. And because you unbanked, that does not mean that if you earned some Social Security money and you're supposed to get it, you should get it. Period. The end.
What do you think? What's the reason you think that so many people don't? I know a lot of people use the cash checking places. That's
highway robbery right there. They should be put out of business.
Right.
There's no question. But you got one on.
I'm sorry, they need to be convicted. I'm sorry, that's a problem. You talking about predatory? That is predatory. That is a problem.
But they are here. They are here. There's one on Woodward that's been there as long as I've been in Detroit, and it ain't going anywhere. Allan, go ahead.
There's a bunch of those places. I found it interesting that Mitch McConnell is criticizing Robert Kennedy Jr., saying that Mitch McConnell, I guess, had to deal with polio issues and saying that polio killed so many people and that the vaccine has been effective. And he's concerned about some advocacy about, getting rid of these vaccines that are, without the vaccines, some of these things could come back And, polio was a very serious thing. It crippled a lot of people. It killed a lot of people. It was,
The 1950s was, listen, I read an old story in the Detroit News where um, black folks in Detroit, they had a push of trying to get them to get their kids the shots because just like the COVID shot, people saying, "Oh, I'm not taking the shot. It does that, and whatever the other." And polio was a big deal in the black community.
Yeah, well,
Go ahead,
I had
Vanessa.
a family member. We lost him last year. My uncle Bob. He had polio. He got it at 2 years old in the city of Detroit. He had to go to a hospital out in Farmington. Now, this is a family that's living north end and then on the east side to try to get to him. He was there for a few years, but he had polio. So you need to miss me on the vaccination not working, because had the vaccination been available then, I believe that he would have been able, my grandparents would have been able to take advantage of it. So
Right.
he was crippled. He crutches all his life from 2. I mean, he caught it at 2. So all his life, it did prevent him from doing anything. He drove a cab to make a living. He lived in the Herman Gardens. He drove a cab to make a living. He drove whatever he wanted. He worked in a nightclub. He was an excellent singer. He went to school. He could kick your butt in racquetball, ping pong. He was an excellent swimmer. He went to Wayne State. Excellent typist. But listen, he was at the hospital all the doggone time. So I don't, that.
And how old was he when he
I know
passed?
that a lot of people, don't like vaccinations. I get it. I respect it. But at least.
But you can't give it to if these people not taking shots and gonna give it to your kids and everybody else.
Exactly.
Fuck Robert Kennedy.
And
He's out of his fucking mind. He's out of his fucking mind.
At least if you're gonna listen to somebody that is saying something isn't it this guy who said something about worms eating his brain? Man, get the heck out of here.
Listen. We know
an appointment. Get out of here.
We know the president-elect had told people during his time when he was in the White House that take bleach and all kind of other shit. But when he caught COVID, he went and got the best medicine that money can buy.
Over at Walter Reed.
He did everything because he didn't want to die. But do as I say and not as I do. That's how it is. Jim, your outrage.
Well, I'm going to backtrack. You weren't with us last night, Adolph, but we talked a little bit about Christopher Wray, and I think I kind of knocked on Christopher Wray a little bit because he went. I didn't knock on him last night because he went to Yale and went to Yale Law School. And he comes from a wealthy family. Now, I want to backtrack on it. That's not his fault. So we lost a gentleman by the name of Brian Thompson in New York City. Worked for United Healthcare. He didn't set your rates. So the people that are out there hating on this young man who was a 50-year-old man was just walking down the street. And if you see the video, it makes you sick. He was shot in the back by a coward in New York City.
And these assholes is giving the coward much love and much money. Like they did Kyle Rittenhouse.
And
a
then we have
fucker that shot 2 people dead and wounded a couple more. And they making him a folk hero. You're absolutely right, Jim.
Well, you know what? Can I just say real quickly before I forget? But Trump and Vance are going to the Army-Navy game today, and their guest is going to be the guy who put the guy basically in a chokehold on the subway. Look, whatever the verdict is, but you can't, prop these people up as, you're embracing something that's so controversial, whether, right or wrongly, that's how the jury decided. But you don't embrace it and elevate it more that the guy, look, somebody died and they're making this guy a hero. I mean, a mentally ill man was on the subway, and people found the jury found that it was
Always an ex-Marine get away with it, and the folks that propped themselves up as I'm an ex-Marine, they didn't do a goddamn thing when they was in the Marine Corps. They was the cowards. J.D. Vance talk all about that shit that he went to Iraq and shit. He was fucking behind the lines, didn't do a damn thing. And then this guy that put the chokehold the same way, he served a couple years, probably was a dickhead when he was in there. And I was served with people like him, and he want to jump on somebody defense that couldn't defend himself. All he did was talk. He was talking crazy, and people know that. But people get scared. I don't take the subway when I go to New York. Too many crazies. But I'm not gonna jump on nobody and choke them to death.
And that was my full.
Look,
go ahead, Jim.
You may not want to take the bus here. You talking about you don't take it in New York. I mean, we have a lot of people. Listen.
I took the bus. I took the bus here.
Yeah.
I took the bus here.
What was the last time?
We rode the bus when I was helping Coleman Young run for mayor. We rode the bus for a whole month. We rode all the bus lines. So
what about 50 years ago?
4 years ago.
And
I'm talking about his son.
Okay.
Allan,
when he ran with Duggan. Go ahead, Jim.
And Allan finished my thought, because the young man that died on the subway, his name was Jordan Neely, and it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy that a 50-year-old man was walking down the street. He didn't raise your rates. He works for the company. He's not really the CEO. He's the CEO of a division of United Healthcare, and he didn't wake up that day at 5:30 in the morning, go out for a coffee, thinking about how he could take your health care away.
Yeah.
Listen, what would Trump do if somebody see Donald Trump Jr. and say, this motherfucker is a danger, I feel threatened, and choke his ass to death? He'd be calling for the death penalty.
We need to quit with the class warfare, and Jordan Neely's death is just as tragic as Brian Thompson's death.
There's no question about it. I want to talk about something close to home. A Detroit woman, after a 10-year battle with the city of Detroit, her two of her kids, 5 and 6, were killed by a police car chasing some kind of criminal 10 years ago. Four people got hurt in this car chase. And finally, the city settled it. The lawyer asked Judge Linda Parker, the federal court, that they gonna settle it for $30,000. $30,000 to be split with the lawyer, be split. The mother gets $8,000. The two siblings that survive, $200 apiece. The grandmama gets $100, and the bystanders get the rest. Listen. The city of Detroit done paid people $1 million that tripped over a sidewalk and broke their leg. The city of Detroit done paid out millions and millions of dollars. I'm not saying whether it's right and wrong, but $30,000. Well, you killed 2 kids.
But here's the clue, though. You said they settled. That's what they decided to do. They said
they didn't.
That's
because yeah, right. Wait, but the lawyer told the judge that they really didn't want to settle, but I guess his feeling was after 10 years they wasn't going to win nothing in court. That's why the city said, okay, we'll just give them $30,000. Not that they wanted it was. Listen, they didn't want to settle. 10 years, 10 fucking years. Yeah. 10 years, two kids dead, and they all worth a couple $100 here and a couple $1,000 there. fuck it, they could keep the money. I wouldn't take shit.
No.
I'm gonna just tell you.
Isn't that a commentary on how they feel about the society, feel about people's lives? You just talked about the guy on the subway that was killed, right?
Yes.
Life ain't worth nothing. This woman's 2 kids were killed. Life is worth nothing. This is nothing new. Nothing new. Now, they've been fighting this case, you said, for 10 years. It's been
10 years. 10 years.
10 years, and it got 30 grand. Well, you know, the attorney was probably, I'm tired of fighting this. I'm tired of going back and forth with this. It's not worth it. So
I would have just, I tell them, take the money and give it to a homeless shelter or anti-violent organization or something, because that's how fucked up it is. We're going to take a break and come back. We're going to continue our conversation on Detroit in black and white. Allan Lengel, Vanessa Moss, and Jim Nardone. I'm Adolph Mongo. We'll be right back.
In the heart of Detroit, Bruce Simpson. Our city ombudsman and his team are dedicated to making your voice heard. The City of Detroit Ombudsman is a liaison between the City of Detroit and all persons who have a complaint or inquiry into the operation of a city department or the conduct of a city employee. The Ombudsman works as an independent oversight to provide individuals with an opportunity of giving a confidential avenue to address complaints. You can reach the Ombudsman's office at 313-224-6000 or email us at ombudsmandetroitmi.gov. You can also visit us at the Coleman A. Young Municipal Center. For more information, go to www.detroitmi.gov and type in Ombudsman. We are here to help. In Detroit, we are all one team. When you win, we all win.
I love teaching others because when I first got into the healthcare field, people overlooked me. I was really a 9th grade dropout who had no education, but I was determined to make something of myself for my baby. So Motor City matched the funds I put into my business. They awarded me $20,000. So now I'm able to focus solely on first step healthcare training and give it everything it needs. All because I live in Detroit.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
All right, we are back. Adolph is
I'm right here. Something interesting has been taking place in the state Democratic Party. Jocelyn Benson start attacking Mike Duggan, saying, "Why are you quitting the party?" You know, calling him a quitter instead of trying to fix it. And I'm sure, and Steve Mitchell, the poster, the Republican poster, claims he did an independent poll on his own. Listen, none of those posters ever do shit on their own. They get paid.
Right.
And the poll showed that Duggan only got 3% of support from those who were polled. To be the Democratic nominee. Garland Gilchrist got 2. What's his name? Peter Buttigieg got 38% or so, and then Jocelyn Benson. So I always figured, who else?
It's interesting. I did a story on that.
Pete got 38%, and Jocelyn got how much?
Something. I forgot what percentage she got. But you know what? I always figured Duggan do polling, and he probably commissioned that poll, or he didn't commission the poll, but he does a lot of polling. We saw that he couldn't win as a Democrat, couldn't get the nomination, so he's going the unconventional route, and I think it's going to hurt the Democratic Party. It's going to be a split, a 3-way split. Lengel, you covered politics. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, that's always the danger. I just want to say that I did write about that little dispute where Jocelyn Benson's trying to stir it up and say that basically trying to portray Duggan as a coward for running the other way when the party just lost a big election and that he's abandoning the party. And she was saying, you know, a firefighter runs in the house, not away from the house. And I tried to get a comment from the Duggan campaign, and the next day they did issue a statement basically saying, we're not going to get involved in this. This is exactly the politics of divisiveness that we want to avoid. I think, you know, it's going to partly look, if the Republicans have a strong candidate who might be like Mike Rogers or somebody, I think it's going to be bad news for the Democrats. I think if they have, you know, the same candidates that they had last time, I think I think it could be a race between the independent and the Democrat. But it's a risky move. And look, if Duggan, it's early on, he's not a big name as big as in metropolitan Detroit as he is around the state in the UP, Traverse City, and all that. But he's got time and he's going to have money. I mean, you know, Bill Ford immediately came out endorsing him. He's going to get the endorsement, I'm sure, of Gilbert's, all these other, you know, the Illich's and stuff like that. He's going to have a lot of money to run campaign ads around the state.
Yeah, and fucking Harris had $1 billion and didn't do jack shit with it. Like this, and so money these days don't mean jack if you don't spend it right, Vanessa.
Well, I think one of the things that what you talked about, you just said that Harris had all this money and didn't do anything. I think one of the things that you said is true. That the fact that Duggan is running as an independent, I don't think is going to hurt the party. The party has already been hurt. The party is done, okay, as it stood prior to November the 5th. There has to be, listen, they talk about 2024 being the year of the reckoning. This is the year of the reckoning. People are sick and tired of the same old, same old. And if people do not come to the reality, that will be the Secretary of State, the reality that people are sick of this, okay, you're a D, you're an I. What are you going to do for the people? We don't care about a D or R. That's where people are.
Well,
I think when you said it's going to hurt the party is already hurt. Is it going to further do damage? Absolutely. But whether he ran as an independent or not, I just think that the party as it stands today, people are tired of it.
But you know what? But
I want to go to Jim, and then I'll come back to you, Allan.
Okay.
Jim, you go in and vote all the time, whether it's Republican or Democrat. Now, is it going to be hard to go to vote and say, okay, I'm not voting either one. I'm going to vote for the independent?
I think it's very difficult. I think it's difficult for the people that work for organizations that endorse individuals. I think he was being too impatient personally. I think he needed to wait a minute, let people know that he's going to run. And I think the Democrats may have coalesced behind Mike Duggan, but I think he needed to wait a minute. I think it's a risky move. And I think it doesn't only hurt the Democratic Party, which he's been a big part of, it hurts him.
Let me ask you this. Are you saying that playing it safe gets you somewhere?
That's not sometimes.
Okay, exactly, sometimes.
Sometimes.
And you said that he should wait. Wait for what? How long?
I think he jumped the gun. I think he's too anxious to be governor, and his ego maybe got in the way of waiting to see how this all played out. And while we're there, good morning, Timothy, Chip. Thank you, Jill, Cynthia. Thank everybody that's out there watching today.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it. And what are your thoughts out there on Mike Duggan and the Independent Party? I wonder what our viewers think.
Go ahead, Allan.
I mean, first of all, you know, when we talk about the Democratic Party being dead, it's like, look, these parties have been dead more times. Republicans, Democrats, they all get resuscitated at some point. And who knows, in 2025, we'll see how Trump does. where the country may sour and say, "Oh my God, this is a disaster," and then the Democrats are back in favor, but maybe not. Maybe he'll do well, and maybe the Republicans get.
I'm looking around the country, Allan, and North Carolina, 2 more Democrats just voted from the party in North Carolina. So the North Carolina State House got a super majority, veto proof. You can't the Democratic governor can't veto anything because it'll get overwritten.
Right.
In Florida, Democrats just got reelected to several state house seats, and they abandoned the party to join the Republicans and to give Ron DeSantis superpower. They have a super majority.
It's not ideology, it's opportunists, where they say, I think down in Florida, they said, we want to have a voice. We're tired of being set aside. So, I mean, look.
To join a party that you totally the opposite against. Listen, when Mike Cox ran for Attorney General years ago against Gary Peters, Jeffrey Feiger put back the third party candidate for the Green Party, Jerry Kaufman, as Attorney General. Kaufman got about 50,000 votes. Mike Cox won by 3,000 votes. So there you have it. Third party, I don't think can win, but I think they can be the spoiler.
Okay. So listen, I want to go to a couple of our viewers. Jill says that the Dems in Florida are maddening. Stick Shift 1213 says, who do you guys think will be the next mayor of Detroit? Timothy Squire Bay say once they bring up how Duggan stole that money from taxpayers in Detroit, he will be through. You guys weigh in on some of those comments.
Well, you know what? This is how people got mixed emotions and stuff. There's been third party candidates all along last 100 years, 200 years. But the only thing they ever done was play the spoiler role. The best known third party candidate was Teddy Roosevelt. He quit. He didn't want to run for president again. He let his vice president run. And then Taft, he said, fuck, Taft didn't do what I wanted him to do. And so he decided to run as a third party. And that time, the Democrats was basically dead meat. And guess what happened? Woodrow Wilson, the biggest piece of shit in a long time, got elected to the White House. So what Duggan is doing, and I think Jocelyn Benson is saying it, she's terrified. She said, I'm going to put all this money into a campaign and shit, and Duggan gonna take half my base and gonna get a little bit of Republican base, but I don't think it might be a toss-up if it works out that way. But I think if the Republicans have a strong candidate that come out there kicking ass and taking names, they would take back not only the governor's mansion, but all the others, like they did under John England.
Who do you see as a Republican candidate, as a possible strong candidate?
John James. John James bought a house. He bought a house up in Grand Rapids area. So that too.
Okay, so we have Terry McCrimmon says, how can an independent governor get anything done? The majority party don't need him, and the minority party won't care about him. And my second question to you guys is this. I want you to weigh in on that. But my second question is this. What are the issues that you believe the hopeful governor will bring to the forefront that will get people to say, okay, I want you. You're my man, or you're my woman?
Well, you can look up at, I'll answer your first part. Go to Maine and Vermont. Bernie Sanders ain't been a Democrat in 500 years. August King is a senator out of Maine. He's been independent. Then Maine had independent governors. Vermont had governors that independent party. So they entrenched up that way. Now Minnesota, Jesse the Body Ventura ran as an independent and won. So it's anything possible. In California, Arnold Schwarzenegger came out of nowhere. He wasn't really a Republican. When he was who he was.
If Duggan were to be the governor, look, the Democrats in the legislature are
gonna fall behind him.
They're gonna work with him. He's gonna be essentially a Democrat.
You might listen, but Allan
and King are all working with the Democrats.
But I think Duggan can work with the Republicans. Some people see Duggan as a closet Republican.
Right.
And I think if the county exec in Macomb County was honest with himself, he would switch parties, because Hackle is more Republican than he is a Democrat. He didn't support any other Democrat that was running, especially for president. He sat it out, and some people claim that, these folks that pretend to be Democrats are not really Democrats.
So you know what, Christine, what's her name? Joe Manchin, Kristen Sinema, whatever. They were really essentially Republicans, but you know what? There's no room in the Republican Party for people like that. They would be considered rhinos. The Republican Party has gotten narrower and narrower. So there's really no room for them to jump into that party, at least on the national level. Maybe on the state level.
So we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna come back and we continue the conversation.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
I love teaching others because when I first got into the healthcare field, people overlooked me. I was really a 9th grade dropout who had no education, but I was determined to make something of myself for my baby. So Motor City matched the funds I put into my business. They awarded me $20,000. So now I'm able to focus solely on first step healthcare training and give it everything it needs. All because I live in Detroit.
In the heart of Detroit, Bruce Simpson. Our city ombudsman and his team are dedicated to making your voice heard. The City of Detroit Ombudsman is a liaison between the City of Detroit and all persons who have a complaint or inquiry into the operation of a city department or the conduct of a city employee. The Ombudsman works as an independent oversight to provide individuals with an opportunity of giving a confidential avenue to address complaints. You can reach the Ombudsman's office at 313-224-6000 or email us at ombudsmandetroitmi.gov. You can also visit us at the Coleman A. Young Municipal Center. For more information, go to www.detroitmi.gov and type in Ombudsman. We are here to help. In Detroit, we are all one team. When you win, we all win.
Hey, listen.
Welcome back. Go ahead. Welcome back to Detroit in Black and White. Go ahead, Vanessa.
Listen, we got a couple of our viewers, and I want us to weigh in on this. You have Duela Boyce, who says, they say the Democratic Party is done, and these next 4 years will show the Republicans are done. All is left is independent or just have people run party free. She's just saying. And then Bumpy Johnson says, Two-Way had a great discussion last night. Mark Halpern was speaking to a Democratic fundraiser, and she said she's done with the DNC after being lied to about the polls. So I want you guys to weigh in on that.
I don't
Go
agree.
ahead, Allan.
I was going to say I don't agree that the Democratic and Republican Party. I mean, they've been, like I say, they've died so many times and come back to life. I don't think it's cyclical. Unfortunately, I mean, it'd be nice to have a stronger independent third parties or whatever, but I think those parties are really so resilient. Even when they're on their deathbed, they always make it back.
Well, we at one time we had the Whig Party who elected several presidents, or the Know Nothings, or we done had all kind of parties. Minnesota had the Democratic Farm Labor Party and stuff, and they played a big role in politics. They created Hubert Humphrey and Walter Mondale, etc. So if you do it right, you can do it right. But when you have people that fall in line with the philosophy of the Democratic Party and they don't take care of business, this is what you get. You got chaos. You got people staying at home. Not that they said, I'm going to go vote Republican. Some of them did. But most of the problems that the Democrats experienced in this past presidential election is that folks just stayed the fuck home. They didn't go vote because
Allan? I'm sorry.
they didn't get the message.
Let me ask you this. You just talked about how some people voted, Republican. Does that mean, because we talked about this briefly, I know I did last week, what does it mean to be rhino or dino?
Because, I've got an answer.
Okay, good. I'm glad that you
have
an answer, because people have said that Mayor Duggan is a dino, right? You've had other people talk about other politicians saying that they are rhinos and, Republicans in name only. What really does that mean? Because when you ask me, I'm going to say that really means that they're independent thinkers.
It's a derogatory term, but I want to say thanks to Jan, my friend from Victory Gym, who's tuning in and makes a comment. Thank you for your contribution. And why did we forget Marlon? Marlon is talking a little bit about Donald Trump, and he thinks that he's going to put this nonsense aside and he's going to focus on leading the country. And I hope you're right, Marlon. Thank you for your comments.
He's going to focus and lead the country when he got the Three Stooges, Abbott and Costello, and the Marx brothers making up his cabinet, or he went to a prison and got all the folks that got charged with sexual assault, and he gonna nominate them. Listen, the guy that he nominated for Secretary of Defense, his minister has said slavery was a great time where the races got along together. Long as they beat my great granddaddy and raped his mama and everything else, it was all right. So yeah, that's the kind of people that we deal with.
See what you get, Marlon, when you but I wanted to go back to Vanessa.
Allan, go ahead. Answer the question, then Adolph, I gotta tell you something that somebody said online. Go ahead.
Allan made a comment about there's not a place in the Republican Party, but I'm going to tell you this. It wasn't that long ago that the people down in Perry, Georgia, voted for Sam Nunn, and they didn't know whether he was a Democrat or Republican. They knew he was Sam Nunn, and he was taking care of business in Perry, Georgia. In Trenton, Michigan.
What? I say it's a different time.
In Trenton, Michigan, or Ann Arbor, Michigan, wherever it is, they knew that John Dingell was their representative, and they went and voted for John Dingell. They didn't say, John Dingell's a Democrat. They said, well, John Dingell believes in taking care of our environment. John Dingell believes in hunting. John Dingell believes in the Social Security system, and they voted for John Dingell.
Right.
So we need to go
look at Milliken. I mean, people didn't care if Milliken was a Democrat or Republican. I mean, they just said he was a centrist.
Well, and Milliken, I voted for him first. The first time I ever voted, I voted for Bill Milliken because Bill Milliken partnership with the city. He saw that if the city wasn't working, Michigan wasn't working. Right. He wasn't stupid, and you're absolutely right, Jim. People people say, well, I'm a Democrat, but I've been voting for this Republican congressman or state senator or whatever for 100 years. Joe Nolenberg was probably one of the most conservative Republicans out of Oakland County as a congressman. But shit, he did more for Democrats in his district and not in his district than some of these other assholes who was in office.
Right.
Well, look at Sheriff Bouchard out of Oakland County. I mean, he's a Republican. I mean, people don't care. There's a perfect example where people do not care about party affiliation.
Right.
Was he a Republican? Was Bouchard a Republican? Wasn't he a state senator? Wasn't he a Democrat?
Yeah. No, he was a Republican.
Was he a Republican?
He is a bona
But
fide.
people don't care about
It's
that.
just like when Don Regal fell out with the Republicans and Nixon, and he switched parties, ran for the U.S. Senate as a Democrat, and guess what? He won until he was forced to resign after taking all the money in the SNL scandals. But yes, people sometimes do not fucking care. Yeah. But I think if we had a system like they have in some states, I think Louisiana is one of the states where you can run regardless in one primary. You can be a Republican, Democrat, Independent, and the top two people face a runoff regardless of party affiliation. That's how you stop a lot of that shit.
You know what I find is interesting when you talk about voter remorse. I think one of the communities that's going to have one of the biggest voters remorse is the Arab community, like in Dearborn.
I knew you were going to say that.
Where we're seeing. I mean, Miriam Adelson, whose husband was the big, dude in Nevada. She gave $100 million to the Trump campaign with a sort of a caveat that you have to push for Israel to annex the West Bank, which I think would be disastrous. We're seeing it now where Trump is entertaining that idea. We're seeing where, Huckabee has been named the ambassador to Israel, and he says, I don't believe there is such a thing as Palestinians. I mean, I think of any group has really seen look, it wasn't a secret the way Trump was thinking, but they wanted to show that they had some influence, and I think it's going to be really bad for a lot of Arab people.
Well, if they start deporting folks, they're going to go right into Hamtramck, and you can always find somebody that overstayed their visas, educational visa, visiting visa. It's easy to get lost in the crowd, but when they start raiding stores and gas stations and shit, and asking people for green cards and just the way you look, and it's gonna get lost that somebody that was born here or is a citizen here is gonna be shipped. They're gonna find themselves in Iraq or Iran or some fucking place that they don't even speak the language. And it happened to a lot of Mexicans in California who claim, I was born here. Show me your birth certificate. How many people walking around with their birth certificate?
Yeah. It's interesting. The mayor of Hamtramck, part of the he's been a Democrat. He's from Yemen. He's been a Democrat, but they banned the showing of gay pride flags anywhere on city property, and he caught hell for it and other little conservative things. The Republicans came along and said, hey, you're more aligned with us. And his idea, and I did a story on that for the Washington Post, he says his idea is like, hey, we're the majority now. But in America, there's also, when you're the majority, it doesn't mean that you can take away the rights of the minority.
He's the big fish in the little pond, and the little pond can be drained anytime. So he can say all the fuck what he want to say, and that's that. I just read a story where the county is going to close the jail in Hamtramck.
Yeah, yeah.
That's money. That now that's where it's gonna hurt them, their economy and stuff. You know, if General Motors decide to pull the Pole Town plant out
Yeah.
of there or cut back,
That's
there's
an electric
money.
plant now, right? That's
Right.
electric
What?
now. Isn't that where they make the
Well,
Hummer?
I don't know what kind of plant it is.
I think it's an electric plant
All I know is
I think it's easy.
General Motors and the city of Detroit got together and they killed 8,000 businesses, closed schools and churches, and moved out the whole neighborhood. A
But saved
couple
the Shane
hospitals
market.
too.
But they
Listen.
saved the Shane market, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that though we're just going to pivot a little bit because you were talking about Dearborn and talking about Hamtramck. That's a huge voting block, and I see in Wayne County, and we're going to see in the city of Detroit, the dynamics are going to greatly change in terms of who's going to hold office.
Well, hold that. You can come back and finish it. We're gonna take our last break, and we'll be right back.
I love teaching others because when I first got into the healthcare field, people overlooked me. I was really a ninth grade dropout who had no education, but I was determined to make something of myself for my baby. So Motor City matched the funds I put into my business. They awarded me $20,000. So now I'm able to focus solely on first step healthcare training and give it everything it needs. All because I live in Detroit.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
In the heart of Detroit, Bruce Simpson. Our city ombudsman and his team are dedicated to making your voice heard. The City of Detroit Ombudsman is a liaison between the City of Detroit and all persons who have a complaint or inquiry into the operation of a city department or the conduct of a city employee. The Ombudsman works as an independent oversight to provide individuals with an opportunity of giving a confidential avenue to address complaints. You can reach the Ombudsman's office at 313-224-6000 or email us at ombudsmandetroitmi.gov. You can also visit us at the Coleman A. Young Municipal Center. For more information, go to www.detroitmi.gov and type in Ombudsman. We are here to help. In Detroit, we are all one team. When you win, we all win.
Well, welcome back, Vanessa. You was
just saying that we're going to see, and it's going to be pretty soon. We're going to see that, with Hamtramck, with big pockets of Hamtramck and Dearborn, and even in some pockets like in West Bloomfield, we're going to see an infiltration of. You're going to see different people sitting on city council in the city of Detroit. The city council that we see and how it's looked for the last 40, 50 years, it's not going to look the same. I'm going to say the same thing about Wayne County, period. When you're talking about executive, you're talking about people holding offices within that organization. When you're talking about even the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, I know we just voted Kim Worthy back in office, but some years from now, it's going to look real different. I see it across the bench.
What do you explain more? Explain more.
Okay.
When you say different,
explain more.
Well, when you say different, what do you?
Chaldean and Arab community, they throw a lot of money around. They got some political weight. Dearborn Heights. Listen, and black people, Ted, how you think the fucking Rashida Tlaib got elected? Because people like her agenda, whether she is insincere in representing those folks. I think she is not, but they like her. She know how to campaign, and they're gonna vote for her. Hell, even the fucking idiot Shree got people. They put him back in office. Now, if he was that fucking bad, they all would have flocked to Mary Waters and said, "Well, we want the black candidate." But people told me I can't vote for Mary because she got a felony, or I can't vote for Mary because she got Sam Riddle tied to her back, and he is who he is. So yeah, people make decisions on personal stuff, and I believe that you're absolutely right. Warren Evans, all his top deputies are Chaldean,
Yes.
and I'm sure he's gonna put his support on one of them.
It's been the Arab community has been part of Wayne County government, in different
But
levels.
not like, yeah. But when you talk about a prosecutor, you talking about person, and people vote for him. People vote for him. I'm not looking down the road and said, "Damn, I'm gonna be an old man when all that shit happened. I'm already an old man." So yeah, it is what it is.
Like I said, it's not going to be too far away that's going to happen. And these people that's running for office now, that those people running for governor, people want to run for mayor. Listen, they're going to go right to that block right there because they are very powerful. They have a lot of money, and guess what? They stick together. So this is going to be very, very interesting in the next 6 years.
Well, we're going to see. It's going to be. Do you think, I throw this out on the table, that when Duggan run as an independent, will you see other candidates that want to be attorney general, that want to be secretary of state, say, fuck it. The way the deck is dealt, I won't get the nomination in the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. I might as well run just like Duggan as an independent, and because I know that Duggan going to spend a lot of money to get his name out there, and I'm going to hook my caboose up to his engine. Do you see any of that?
If Duggan is successful, then we'll see others. If he gets killed, if I think people will just say that was not a great idea, and I think it'll be less incentive. But if he wins as an independent, yes.
I think people will do, because I think people who have aspirations, who have egos. They're going to say, bump this. Who are you to tell me I got to get your permission to go on the ballot? No, I'm going to take the easy route. And those people who decide that they're going to do that, if they prevail, great. If they don't prevail, they still are looked at as a force to be reckoned with, and they bring people along. So you're going to have to pay attention.
Well, I hope they got their signatures together, because the people of both parties is gonna go get that the motherfucker named Robert Davis to get you off the ballot.
Oh, okay. Absolutely.
So they need to have their shit together. Jim, this is to you. You've been in Trenton politics a little bit. Get somebody come in there as a third party and say get elected to city council?
Well, city council is more of an independent. It's nonpartisan. So
okay, so it's not. What about state rep? What about state rep?
Well, we saw a change in our state rep. We flip flop back to a Republican.
I predicted that. Yeah.
But as an independent, I see no pathway. You know how the money works.
Yeah.
A state representative seat cost $1 million, right? And $400,000 from the
That's insane. You spend all that money for a job that pays what?
89 or 90, whatever.
But people want that doggone power. Look, listen, Adolph, you have a fan. There's this guy, Chip Tracy, who is participating. He wants to meet with you. He says he's going to run for city council, District 5, but he wants to know what are some of the names that we've heard in terms of people running for city council. I don't know if your name is Chip Tracy for real, or if that's your name on the internet. But
Tracy.
I don't know. I don't know if anybody else.
Come in.
Right. I don't know if anybody else right now that plans on running for city council. I think Adolph told me, guys, a few weeks ago that somebody called him and said, "Hey, has your girl thought about running for city council?" And I told him, "Listen, that's very, very nice, but no, thank you."
Well,
No,
I couldn't last 6 months.
On the bench. I want to make
I couldn't last 6 months in any elected position. You know, it's like thank you and no thank you. But there's folks out there that's grumbling. They'll rear their heads sooner than later.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if you want something, you go get it. You know, you go get it, and you got to have an agenda, an issue. For me, if I was running for the mayor of Detroit, my 3 issues. 1, I want the schools. I'm gonna take over the fucking schools. That's 1. From day 1, I start talking that shit. 2, crime. Crime is you got to attack crime. Crime may be going down. People don't understand stats. Oh, we went down 50%. Well, you talk to the family that lost a kid or uncle or daughter to gun violence and shit. That's what got to happen. And 3, we gonna boycott all these corporations that keep building grocery stores on the borders of Detroit and shit. And it won't come in, and yet you can go to a small community and see 3 Myers and all kind of stores in those communities, and they won't come into the city of Detroit. And most of the people that keep them in business live right here in the heart of the city. But that would be my talking points. Okay. And you know, you go from there.
Yeah, so those will be, you said that's the S you would be talking about, because some of it is S, because we just had the police chief on the show. What was that, a couple of weeks ago? He's on the show every month. And by the way, did you guys see that big old sweep that they did, that bust they did, arrested 150 people? But anyway, crime has gone down according to him.
Well, you go according to the numbers. According to the numbers, I'm not saying it's not true. All I'm saying is that, you know, people still don't feel safe. You don't feel safe. When you don't feel safe, for your kids, that's why our kids are refugees. They're in all the school districts in southeastern Michigan.
Detroit, that's right.
But Detroit, they got no district in Highland Park. You know, so that's a big point. If you're gonna bring people back in here, and I'm not talking about the single people or the college students or the young couples whose babies are small, people that got growing kids, and they look and say, "Well, can I send them to school?" And you can't. You can't basically send them to a neighborhood schools, because there are there's a few neighborhood schools, but there are no neighborhood schools. We're gonna, Jim, I go to you. Your final thoughts.
Well, thanks to everybody that's watching. Bumpy had some really good points today, and he's a Canadian. We love our Canadians. They're proof that we're all just one people here, and we all have the same ideas. Odell, thank you. Everybody that Terry asked a question about mass deportation earlier, and you went back to talked about Wayne County and Dearborn and some of these things. And I think, Terry, we need to have a wait and see attitude. They're not moving 15 million people out of this country. Hopefully they start with the criminals. I have no problem with them going after the criminals and getting the undocumented criminals out of this country. I think that's where they'll start. I don't think mass deportation will look. Personally, I don't even think there will be a mass deportation. It's too costly, and we don't have the resources to do it. But it's definitely hanging over our heads.
Vanessa, your final thought.
Well, my final thoughts is, first of all, I want to thank everybody for watching. Chip Tracy is actually Odell Rowan, who wants to talk to you, Adolph. So I don't know how we're going to make sure that happens.
Whitney Clark. Whitney Clark, actually.
Okay. Also, I want to say that one of the issues that one of our viewers says that one of the issues should be zoning in the city of Detroit. That should be an issue. So the point that I'm trying to make is we have Detroit in black and white. We have a lot of people participating. I want to thank you so much for participating. We're going to continue to engage you in our conversation because without you, we would not have this show in Detroit in black and white. We want you to like, subscribe, and share. We also want you to join us again on Wednesday evening at 8:30 in the evening from 8:30 to 9. Again on Friday from 8:30 to 9, and again on Saturday. You can watch all of our previous episodes on DetroitInBlackAndWhite.com, DetroitInBlackAndWhite.com. Have a wonderful weekend.
Allan?
I am looking forward to as many people jumping in the mayoral race. To me, when we talk about what we're looking for is I'm looking for, as a Detroit resident, I'm looking for somebody who's going to be a good manager with progressive thoughts, who's innovative, and I don't care who it is, as long as they have those qualities, you know.
Okay. I want to thank all our viewers. I want to thank Jim, Vanessa, Allan, and Teresa. I'm Adolph Mongo. We'll be back next week. Have a good day.
Mama said that she agreed with you. Two top issues is school and food.
And go Lions.
Stores.
Thanks, Jill, for the
All
good
right.
wishes.
Take
Pound
care.
the Bills this weekend.
All right. Bye-bye.